Welcome to Lucky Strike in partnership with Gunner Optics and Level Battlefield.
Hey guys, Geiger's here, and welcome to Let's Talk Episode 11, Clans and their role in the community. And today I have a very special guest, Noble Slevin, the founder of Clan Lucky Strike. Welcome,
Hey, how's
Noble.
it going? Hey, good. How are you?
Good. So we'll just jump right into this because we're going to try to make it about 15 minutes. So you are the founder of Clan Lucky Strike, this is correct?
Yes, correct.
So when did you form Clan Lucky Strike?
It's actually, technically speaking, we've been around for quite a while. I mean, we were on Battlefield 3 and had quite a few people playing with us at the time. And it was one of those things, it was more just, you know, me and a couple friends kind of got tired of not having people to play with every time we jumped on, and you get stuck with whoever. And so we kind of just started like slowly picking up people here and there and rolling them in. And it just turned into a thing where we had this group of people like that, you know, they'd always be on. They're always like looking for people to play. And we kind of, you know, were okay with, you know, their particular like attitudes and the way they handled themselves. And we knew that it's somebody that we wanted to be spending time with. And that's kind of how it all started. But we didn't really make anything official until pretty recently, just at the end of last year. Right. And it's one of those things that it was starting to pick up speed on its own without us really putting anything into it. And so we decided, you know, maybe we can sit down and see what we can't turn this into.
Right.
And so like my background specifically is in marketing, and then our co-founders' backgrounds. One of them is a conceptual artist and the other one does video production. Nice. So it kind of just worked out that, you know, combined we had the skill set necessary to, you know, kind of to run the whole thing. And so that's really when it all started. And I mean, it's just kind of snowballed. Like it's pretty much grown into something that we never expected it to grow into. And even though we call ourselves, you know, Clan Lucky Strike, because that's kind of what it started out as initially, I mean, it's really more of a community at this point.
Right.
So it's just, you know, like a giant group of people that, you know, are just cool people to play with that, you know, they're always online. It's one of those things like, I want to jump on, I want people to play with, I send out a note and then they're there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the way we kind of go about it is all the people, you know, I mean, you get a lot of these, there's kind of a stigma attached to clan. A lot of people don't really like the whole sound of it just because typically those people associated with clans are, you know, they're kind of jerks, I think, in the minds of a lot of people. And it's one of those things that we're just having fun. Yep. And, you know, we played a ton of Battlefield, so we are pretty decent, but really just going into it, it was all about the fun. And so we vet people not on skill, but kind of on attitude and, you know, like their willingness to play the objective. Like we want people to get on and actually play the game and like, you know, talk to you and communicate and everything else. And so skill, you know, that's all secondary. And, you know, it's something that comes with time. We want people that we just want to spend time with doing what we enjoy doing. And so that's kind of where we're at now. And that's kind of what we try to stick to going forward, is anyone who reaches out and wants to have anything to do with us, we have to make sure that their views and goals and everything within the community are kind of in line with ours first before we like move forward with them or whatever initiative that they have going, because we just want to make sure that we kind of adhere to what we founded this on, which is, you know, that whole, you know, attitude basically.
Right. So you just covered about half the questions I had. So
cruising through them.
Yeah. So like you see, like Clan Lucky Strike, you see it as a community, but also as a clan, and getting into competitive scenes also. I know not everybody can do that, and because a lot of people don't have time for it. But so you see it as not just as a clan, but also as a community. So where do you see it going in the future? Like just the same idea?
Yeah, I mean, I would consider ourselves.
You'll have like a competitive section, and then you'll have your community guys.
Yeah,
too?
but basically, yeah. So I mean, it's a community, and then like within that, there's buckets, and so it's one of those things that our roster is basically assembled that you get put into a different bucket based on your time with Lucky Strike.
Yeah.
And so like after X amount of time, then it's like you're tenured basically. And so it's one of those things that like the competitive teams specifically, you know, those are the people that they have the time, they play all the time, they, you know, they're interested in getting into competitive. You know, a lot of these people, like, they're interested in the same things we were in the start. Like, they just want people to play with.
Right.
And they just want to have fun. And so like we still have that, but at the same time we've kind of, you know, compounded it into these like smaller groups as well, where like for the people who do want to compete, like we want to offer that for them. And so one of the things that we've kind of started doing more of now is, you know, reaching out and picking up different sponsorships and partnerships and everything else. So like, you know, Gunnar, and then talking to Astro and like everything else that we're working on.
Yep.
And we're just trying to create avenues for those people to do that. And so it's kind of one of those things, like one-stop shop, like we have it all.
Yep.
So you can come in, you can have a good time, or if you want to compete, then you can reach out for that. And that's the competition side of it. That is the one thing that we do have, you know, some degree of skill requirement for, but I mean, ultimately it's more, you know, comes down to our original goals that we founded everything on. It comes down to teamwork and chemistry and everything else, because I mean, a team that communicates really well is going to beat out the more skilled team every single time, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that drew me, is it wasn't just, you know, we're making a clan of 6 guys and then take off and you can't be with us and whatever. It is a community, and there is a lot of guys that play together, but you also have chances of getting into the competitive scene if you want. And that's what I'm going for. But then, you know, if I want to just hop on and play, there's a whole bunch of guys I can just play with, and that's why I got drawn into it.
yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, and I could name people specifically, but I mean, we have members who are on all the time. They play all the time. Like, we'll get in, you know, party with them or team speak or whatever, and then, you know, everyone talks and jokes and has a great time and plays some Battlefield. And at the end of the day, like, they might not necessarily be interested in playing competitively, but they still love playing with us.
Right.
And the other guys who just finished playing with them, they go off and then they'll scrim and do whatever and get back to getting ready for whatever it is that they're getting ready for. So, yeah, I mean, everyone's just kind of in it to have a good time. But then at the end of the day, I mean, you can still accomplish, you know, whatever goal.
Right. So, with the news of Level BF or Level Battlefield, whatever you want to call them, they're trying to get into consoles.
Yep.
But we're all waiting for DICE and EA to make up their minds if we're going to get private servers or not.
Yeah.
Well, the one question I have: do you think the private servers are coming? Yes or no? Like,
I mean, yeah. They are. They have to.
yeah.
I mean, so it's just a question of timing.
Right.
So, I mean, they know that they have to have private servers, otherwise Battlefield is lost forever.
Right.
So it's one of those things, though, that right now the only thing that they're hurting, in my opinion, without having private servers is the ability for Battlefield to turn into a legitimate esport, which, you know, you could argue, is that already a moot point?
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I'd still like to think that that's a possibility. I mean, private servers, they could come out tomorrow. I mean, they're not going to, but they could.
Yep.
So it's just one of those things that it is dependent on that. And there's a drive for it too, because now you see like ESB and all these other people, like, they're doing competitive stuff now, even without having private servers.
Yep.
Like, they're just using the public ones and figuring out ways to get that to work. And that kind of works with Diffuse. I know Diffuse is still a little buggy and it's got some issues. They're trying to work it out, but I mean, they're finding ways to try and like push it forward and like make it happen and make it work without private servers. So I mean, if the will is still here, like after everything that's happened and everything that's been through, you know, even though it's diminished, I mean, you can only imagine, you know, how strong it would be if we got private servers like in the next week or two or whenever.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it's just a question of timing. They need to come out with them soon, otherwise, you know, it will be an issue. I mean, especially with Titanfall coming out here very soon. Yeah. But, you know, I think if they can make that happen, then there's still hope for them. So, you know, hopefully they can.
Yep. Okay, so like what I was getting here is Level Battlefield, you know, they want to come to consoles.
Yeah.
Where do you see Clan Lucky Strike in that? Do you see us involved in that?
Oh, yeah,
in
absolutely.
their tournaments
I mean,
and stuff?
right now we're actually helping pretty heavily with a 32v32 tournament. I mean, it's going to be on Xbox One and PlayStation, Europe and US.
Right.
And that's with Level Battlefield. And like I said, it's dependent on private servers.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still being planned. It's been planned. Like there's,
Yeah, I keep getting my emails about it.
Yeah,
Let
exactly.
me know.
So, I mean, we have squad leaders set up. We have the newsletters that go out like everything else. Everyone's extremely proactive, like despite the lack of private servers, like they're making it a point to constantly update people and keep them in the know and say like, hey, this is still happening. I know it's taken forever because of private servers, but it's still going to happen. And then, like as far as the number of people who have actually signed up and registered and like want to be a part of this, I think last time I checked, it was like 300-400 people or something like that. And that was for Xbox alone. That's not including PlayStation 4. And that was US specifically. Like we have a different side of it managing EU.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, to get those kind of numbers, like specific to Xbox, specific to the US, despite the mess that Battlefield is, despite not having private servers, it's a pretty huge deal. And I mean, the problem we're having now too is we have X number of practice squads, and it's 32v32, and then so from those practice squads, we'll pull some people to be squad leaders, and then they're going to supplement that with the people that applied. And you can imagine out of 300 or 400 people, it's going to get narrowed down quite a bit.
Right.
So I'm sure it won't be one event. The original thought behind this particular event was just kind of build hype for eSports with Level Battlefield and everything else. It's just supposed to be like a fun, kind of like showy event. You get like a lot of big names and stuff in there and like YouTubers and everything else. And that's kind of the thought behind that. But then on top of that, now, Level Battlefield, we're also about to do some diffuse tournaments on Xbox One.
Right.
And those are coming up here probably closer to the end of February.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it's still moving forward. And yeah, Level has really big plans for, I mean, I can't talk about everything, but they have really big plans for moving into console. And I mean, it's definitely something that they're working really hard towards. So expect to see a lot more of it.
Yeah, and what I like about with the diffuse one, you don't really, like, it'd be nice to have the private servers, but you don't really need them. Like, as long as nobody tries to interrupt the thing going on all the time, but and people crash and stuff. But
yeah, and even with stuff for like gloves for tags, I mean, the events that they typically run, which are on PC, they're starting to talk about console too. And it's one of the things that, obviously private servers, they sound like they're really important, but as long as you get the key people in there into like just an empty server, and as long as everyone has the server number, it's not really going to stop anyone. So
no. Okay, so I guess I got one last question. To touch again on the private servers, like there hasn't been any news from DICE at all. Like they don't talk about it. Seems for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a possibility? Well, it's a slim one, but there is a possibility that private servers won't come out for Battlefield 4 on console. Like there is a possibility. It's not. It may be small, but there is a possibility.
I would say that the possibility of them not coming to Battlefield 4 at all are extremely slim.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of money to be made there, but just say, let's just for argument's sake, let's just say it happens.
Yep.
So do you think the future with Battlefield and eSports, do you think it'll be dead before it even gets a real chance?
Well, I mean, with Battlefield, they're going to fix the bugs eventually. They're going to fix the glitches. It's a matter of how long it's going to take them to do that. Yeah. So I think that the love for Battlefield is not going to go away because eventually...
I'm just talking like the eSports side of Battlefield.
But, yeah, exactly. So Battlefield's always going to be a thing. But as far as the eSports are concerned, I mean, if private servers aren't available, hypothetically speaking, if they weren't available at all, then, I don't really see it getting really big in the world of eSports.
No.
So
I don't either. I hope they figure it out, and because I myself, in my opinion, I think eSports and Battlefield would work really great on the console side of things. Now that we have all the tools in place and we can play 32 on 32 and all that stuff, and we have everybody's got recordings and whatever, but.
And it's one of those things too that, I mean, I even personally, I have an idea as to when they're going to come out with private servers, but I would rather not share it because it's kind of discouraging. But I mean, the fact that I've heard a lot of stuff about it and everyone's still talking about it, I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to come out. It's just a question of when, and will it be too late by the time they do?
Yep.
So.
Okay, so I'm going to put a lot of links down below, guys, about where you can find all the information on Clan Lucky Strike. But just from you, Noble, what platforms are you on? All of them?
Yeah, I'm on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. So I mean, I play PC some, but it's.
But is Clan Lucky Strike involved? Like, do they have a clan on PC at all? Or
we actually have some members, but it's more crossover than anything. So yeah, we're primarily console, but yeah, no, both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. We still have a few people on 360 and a few people on PlayStation 3, but I've talked to them all, and they're all getting ready to migrate over soon. So yeah, all next gen console for the most part.
Cool. Okay, well, thank you very much for doing this. And anything else you would like to add at all?
No, I think that's it. No, it's good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, everybody, take care, everyone.